So, like I talked about earlier, and of course a lot of people have been talking about this, numerous projects that are nearly finished, basically like 10% away from being completely finished, have been shelved indefinitely. And unlike some people, I still have a positive outlook that we will see them, eventually down the line, like maybe within the next year or so, after this recession and tax season and all that is taken care of and has passed us by. Because, that's why, Scoob, Haunted Holiday Haunt, Batgirl, and now the third season of Little Ellen have been canceled. They're basically going to be canceled, and what I'm trying to say is that's why they've been canceled, because mainly they're going to be used as tax write-offs, possibly going into tax season, which, as I mentioned in the previous video, for most, corporations and people, begins this fall. And, with the recession looming, potentially, if not already here, you want to basically take what's going to financially hurt you and put it on the shelf until you feel the time is right to release them. And I believe within the next year, like I said, those projects, mostly Scoob and Batgirl, will see the light of day. It's just, I think they're just waiting until we're past this recession and tax season is pretty much, done and over with within the next year or so. That being the next 7 to 8 months. But the question ultimately is, why is David Zaslav and his crew doing this? Why are they suddenly coming out and taking what people have dubbed the acts of Zaslav to just about anything, that still might be beloved by fans, or fans are looking forward to, or people have worked, hard on creatively behind the scenes. And I think what it is with Zaslav, and everybody's kind of mentioned this in their own way, and I think Zaslav in his own unique way has made it pretty much clear. He wants to restart. He's basically, what he is doing, and I kind of used an example of this in the previous video, he's doing basically, what Triple H is doing. Now, in the previous video, I talked about how Triple H worked with what was already there, and that Zaslav should have just done the same thing, and that Batgirl and Scoob, Holiday Haunt, and all that proceed as planned. And then after those get released, move forward. But he didn't think that way. That wasn't his way of thinking. But one of the things I talked about, I believe, in that video, as well as in another video, is what Triple H is doing in WWE right now is, especially on this past Monday, officially, that being his first full night in control, creatively and all that, is he's softly hitting the reset button, the reboot button on WWE. Thus, giving us a fresh, beginning to what WWE should have been the entire time. But it for David Zaslav, I see him kind of doing the same thing. The only difference is he's not waiting, he's not waiting to allow projects from the old regime to move forward, and get released. He's starting the reset right now. He's starting that soft reset, that soft reboot, if you will, right now. And he's saying basically that if you have any projects that you're currently working on, whether they're in pre-production, whether they're in early draft production, whatever, hold off on them right now because things are about to change. And he's doing this mainly because of the fact that, he's doing this because he mainly wants WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, but mostly the Warner Brothers side of things, along with DC, to get back to that land of providence. That land of providence, if you will, that land of basically the land of the elite, if you will. Once again, that land of prominence. That's the word I'm looking for. The land of prominence. He wants to get it back to that level. He wants to, have any movie, whether it's a DC project, DC based on a DC comic, or maybe based on one of their hit shows, or live action or animated, or even another franchise, if you will, from another brand. He wants these all treated, if they're going to go theatrical, as big deals, as big mega deals, not just thrown together for the heck of it. He wants planning. Again, the comparison to Triple H is Triple H has made it clear, and he still has that mindset, obviously, is he does not want to do anything with certain people caught up from the NXT brand unless they have a few months of planning, lined up for them. Like, okay, if we bring you up to the main roster, here's how it's going to go. Here's how we're planning out your first, half a year with, on the main roster, and what kind of an impact you'll make. Zaslav kind of, in my opinion, has that same mindset of he wants to make sure that if you're going to do something that, he can put onto his, on his channels, on his networks, on his streaming services, that, or even theatrically on the big screen, that there's, a planning stage to get from point A to point B. Like, what's the planning stages from point A, or in between point A and point B? Point B being, when it gets released. What's the steps you're taking? How's this going to work? How's that going to work? And I think that's why I was seeing him, doing what he's doing, because he wants these projects. Because honestly, as I've mentioned before in the other video, and I'm sure others have talked about this too, honestly, he still probably wants to do these projects. He probably doesn't want to have to, he probably, I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, he probably didn't want to have to shelf Batgirl, despite the fact that he could still let it move forward, and, as I mentioned before, let that play out, let it do its thing, and then move on. He probably didn't want to have to do that. He probably didn't want to do the same with Scoob. But I guess the way he's looking at it is, look, if you're going to do these properties, then you need to make them big. You need to make them worth the release on the big screen, or worth the release in the budget you are spending to be released on HBO Max, or whatever the streaming service will be in the future. He basically wants it to be worth the money they're spending, so that when it gets released, it'll be worth the people's time to watch it. And I think the other reason he's doing it too, doing this little soft reset, soft reboot, on the company and everything, is he wants to make sure that we're going to, or not us, but if they're going to release a lot of these projects, which he's still going to let happen, because there's, pretty much a profit to be made there. And they do have, some of the properties that are coming do have, a legacy to them, like, Tiny Toons University, basically a reboot of Tiny Toon Adventures, which proved to be a success. Animaniacs has proven to be a success, stuff like that. What he probably wants is a big promotional movement for a lot of these projects, whether they're going to be theatrical or streaming or network or whatever. He wants them to promote a big promotion behind them, so that it gets people invested, it gets people interested, in what's to come, and not just be like, oh, well, I can watch it at any time. No, he wants it to where it's, if you're going to see it, you're going to see it right then and there, even if it's on streaming, and that's about it. And I think the other strategy he's probably going to want to go with very soon, implement it, depending on the future of HBO Max, which again I believe is going to be fine. I think, as I said in the other video, I think if anything's going to happen, we're going to hear a merger happening within the next year. Like, within the next year, we're going to go from individual services of Discovery Plus and HBO Max to them being one under the HBO Max Discovery Plus, or HBO Max Plus deal, or HBO Discovery deal, or whatever name they'll choose, or Discovery Max Plus, or whatever. But I think one of the things he's going to want to work on, when it comes to like any new content that will show up, network-wise, streaming-wise, cable-wise, is that, you know, you get an episode every week. Like if it's on streaming, he's probably looking at what Disney's doing and saying, you know what, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put an episode out every week, you know, and such. So that way we're not, you know, just having people binge through the episodes when they happen. They have to wait until they come out. And technically they're kind of doing that with some shows. But I think what he's looking at is if there's anything exclusive to the HBO Max service or whatever the merged service will be in the future, that it's treated like a regular weekly show or a weekday show. It's like every week or every day you get a new episode, you know, and you're not just binging through them like what Netflix does with some of their shows. So I think that's one of the reasons he took a show like Little Ellen, despite how you might feel about that show, and even though the third season was complete, he axed it. He said, forget it, I'm not going to let this pass. Mainly because he probably knew it was going to get dumped, all the episodes were going to get dumped onto HBO Max at the same time, and he didn't want that. And obviously, of course, with Ellen's controversial actions as of late, you know, and news that's come out about her in this past year, I don't think David Zaslav wants anything to do with Ellen DeGeneres in any shape or form. So that's why I think the third season of Little Ellen was taken off. Basically, what it is he's going to hang his hat on the shows that are on HBO Max, that'll later go on to places like TNT, TBS, regular HBO, whatever. He wants to hang his hat on those shows and movies, even Max originals, that will be money makers. That are not just money makers, but are bringing in new eyes, bringing in new subscribers, like Harley Quinn is doing. You know, along with shows like Young Justice and such. So, you know, that's what he's hanging his hat on. He wants to hang his hat on properties they're going to make a profit and not lose a profit. And that's what he's doing, and it's all part of this soft reboot. It's all part of this soft reset and reboot that he's going through right now by axing off Batgirl, by axing off Scooby-Doo, Holiday Haunt, and third season Little Ellen, removing these 6 Max original movies. He's softly resetting the structure by saying, if we're going to do these kind of things, we need to make them worth the while, and we need to promote them the right way. We need to give them time to be promoted, get people excited, so that, you know, once they see them, it will be worth the while. And again, like I mentioned in the video, I still believe Scoob, Holiday Haunt, and Batgirl will see the light of day. It's just going to take time, and it's all about timing right now, and the timing is not right for it as we speak, but it will see the light of day. No doubt about that in my mind. But I feel that what he's doing, like I said, is he's basically softly resetting and rebooting is what he's doing. It doesn't mean the things that he's having removed right now or canceling right now or putting on the shelf temporarily right now are never going to come back or see the light of day again. They probably will, but what he wants to do is slowly reset, reboot, and restructure the company and all its assets and such to be more balanced and more sense and basically make more sense than they've ever had. Basically, he wants to get a plan in place, a plan that goes for the next 3 to 5 to 6 years. He wants to make sure he has that kind of a plan, so that way, it doesn't feel so unorganized and everything. And that's why he's making these moves. Whether we agree with them or we don't, this is why he's making these moves. He's going with what he feels is going to be profitable, when it comes to the HBO Max service, whether it's going to be merged with Discovery Plus, potentially, probably will. He wants to, he's going to hang his hat on, on stuff that he knows is going to bring in viewers and everything, bring in new subscribers, that does make a profit. He wants to hang his hat on properties and stuff that, will, make money at the box office. He wants to hang his hat on properties that, if they're on network television like CW, or cable television like HBO or Cinemax, will draw in ratings, strong ratings and strong viewerships, and thus make a profit, in the long run. That is the main purpose. And by softly rebooting and resetting the company to go and get this multi-year plan, well on the way, he's going to make decisions, like I said, not a lot of people are going to like. Now, are some of these decisions going to be permanent, forever permanent? No. Again, I believe, just like I said with Batgirl and Scooby-Doo Holiday Haunt, I think a lot of these projects will see the light of day again. Whether they're, in the process of being finished, and all of a sudden they get the news of, oh, you're being canned for right now, or you're being shelved indefinitely for right now, or whether they're in early pre-production, they're being told to halt for right now, they will see the light of day. But he wants to make sure that they have a proper, planned out, multi-year structure plan in place before they really, hit the road, not hit the road, but, hit the road running, basically. Hit the road, hit the tracks, full speed running. He wants to make sure they have a plan. So that way, let's say they keep the streaming service, which I believe they will, and potentially merge it with the other streaming service, Discovery Plus, which I believe they will. They'll have, they'll have basically, things ready to go to put onto that service that'll entice people to want to subscribe to it, and in the future, because they'll be hearing good things about this show or this movie that you can only find exclusively on that service. So yeah, I think that. So yeah, that's why I think he's taking the axe of Zaslav, if you will. Easy for me to say, the axe of Zaslav. I think he's taking it because basically it's his way of slowly hitting that soft reset and reboot button to go in that direction of having a multi-year plan and to structure out on, to make sure in the end, after that tenure of how many years, whether it's 4 or 6 years of planning, everything is organized and set up so that, if you have stuff going on the streaming service, it won't feel like it's just going on there for the heck of it. There's a purpose. And same with the theatrical runs, same with stuff going to network and cable television. And that's about it. But yeah, that's why he's doing this right now, whether we like it or not. He's doing this to softly reset and reboot the company and all of its, divisions, so that they get to that, multi-year structured plan that, at the end of, like I said, the tenure of that plan, or the tenure of that multi-years, things will be more structured and organized than before, and then they won't have to worry about being, out of sync like they were in the previous regime. That's why he's doing this. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. How do you feel about David Zaslav taking his axe and just chopping down things that pretty much were almost done, completely done, or potentially right now are in early production, pre-draft production? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that, and that basically being the process of trying to softly reboot the structure of the company to get that multi-year structure plan set up and ready to go, for them to be more organized and to put the priority on what they believe will draw people to the theaters, draw people to the streaming service, draw people to the networks and the cable channels. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere, where super chats and super stickers are going to be open. It would be appreciated. Also, check me out at BW Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also, check me out at VENMO at BW Roses, so content you can't get anywhere else except there. Also, check me out at patreon.com/BW Roses, or the $1, $3 tier. Also, check me out at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2 and at Cash App at BW98. You can help support me there directly. And really, that's about it. And also check out the Teespring store as well, guys, so merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But yeah, to me, that's why he's doing this. Whether we like the decisions he's going with, whether they're shocking to a lot of people, surprising, coming out of nowhere, that's why he's doing this. He's not doing what Triple H is doing and just, in WWE and just working with what was left behind before starting anew the following week. No, he's going right off the bat and saying, screw Litton, screw, waiting till Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt are released to restart. We're restarting right now. We're going and we're gonna start running on the track right now. Off to the races we go, kind of deal, to get to that proper structured plan for the next multi-years of how many that could be, 4 to 6. But again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this, and I am out.